So, like a lot of Canadians, I've been spending the holiday season here watching the World Juniors yet again. And I thought I would review a game that I just watched. Lots to talk about in Canada versus Germany that just ended. Tons to talk about when it comes to penalties and the officiating. And then the score in the end, we'll talk about how all that went. And I'm also going to use this video just to talk a bit about what I've seen from the World Juniors up till this point. This is actually the last game of the preliminary round. So the medal rounds start on the 2nd. So January 1st is the day off for the players. And then, January 2nd, the medal rounds begin. And it looks like Germany will not be participating in the medal rounds. They needed at least a point in this game in order to qualify for the quarterfinals. So instead, Latvia will be playing in the quarterfinals. I can't remember. I didn't even look at the matchups, to be honest. Maybe I'll add that to this little video that I'm doing today. So yeah, really interesting game. I must say, right from the start, Connor Geekie just completely flattening one of the German players just 11 seconds into the game. Just a gnarly hit to the head. And I'm going to talk a lot about the officiating in this. And those of you that have watched or listened to my podcast, which I haven't made an episode in forever now, but I'm very much pro referee. I always support the referees for the most part. And I think there's a problem in hockey right now with just people hating on referees so much because we do need them in order to play the game. However, I watched this entire game and I gotta say that this is some poor officiating in this game. Now, I don't think Connor Geekie's penalty, I don't think that was a bad call, to be honest. I think it was definitely a 5 or a 2. You got to call it one or the other, and I'm okay with that being 5 in a game. I know that's kind of a hot take. There's a lot of, I think Canadian bias when people are disagreeing with that, but it was a hit to the head. It was definitely charging, but I think when you call that a 5, that's going to kind of catch up with some of the calls that come later in the game, one in particular. So right away, Canada has to kill a 5-minute major. Germany scores 1 on that power play. Now, I have a feeling some people are going to say that Germany got really lucky with power plays in this game. But to be honest, their own power play looked really good. You know, and I mean, there's so many times when these kind of second tier countries play a team like Canada and they get a power play and then they get nothing. They get no offense. There's nothing that comes out of it. Maybe not even get a shot. And Germany's power play looked pretty good tonight. They got 2, or today, I should say. This game was in the morning, but they got 2 power play goals, one in the first, one in the second. And credit to them. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to break down every single goal here, but I do want to talk about the penalties. And the next one that I was going to talk about, it was actually a missed call. And this time it was actually the Germans that kind of got the short end of the stick on this. So right before Canada's second goal that was scored by Braden Yeager, I believe it was Fraser Mitten. He got a high stick up on a German player, and there was blood, and he was on the ice, and it was right in front of the ref, too. Whistle does not get blown. They do not call that a penalty, and then Braden Yeager goes on to score. So, yeah, missed call and a Canadian goal right after. That was definitely just a complete miss by the official. But the main thing I want to talk about, just going back to the Connor Geekie penalty there, Luca Hoff, he got a cross-checking penalty. I believe that was against Poitras in the second, and completely just destroys him into the boards. Now, granted, Poitras kind of turned at the end there a little bit, but I feel like if you're going to call Geekie for 5, you have to call Hoff for 5 as well. And that's the thing. If you're going to call a 5 11 seconds into the game like that, you got to keep that standard throughout the game. So I think that was a big mistake by the ref as well. And then there was a few other just missed calls and just poor decisions I thought throughout the game. There was one play where the German goalie had the puck under his pad. It looked like he didn't know where it was, but the whistle didn't blow, and then he's swerving around in his crease because he doesn't know where the puck is. And then the puck comes shooting out, and thankfully it goes right to the German defenseman, and he clears it. But the ref should have blew the whistle. He had the puck under his pad for a good 2 or 3 seconds, and I feel like the ref didn't call it down because the goalie looked confused, which is a terrible decision. If the ref can't see the puck, you blow the whistle. Like if you think it's covered and you don't see it, you blow the whistle. That's the rule. You don't refrain from blowing the whistle because the goalie looks confused. So that was a terrible lack of a call. I mean, I know it should have just been a whistle, but still, it didn't look good. And then the same thing happens, or a similar thing happens, with 2 minutes left in the game, except with the Canadian goalie, Rousseau. The puck, I believe it was kind of on top of his pad or was in his armpit. But again, his body language was like, I don't know where the puck is. But the ref didn't blow the whistle, and the puck wasn't loose. Like, if you're the ref and you don't see the puck, it doesn't matter if the goalie looks confused. You know, if you don't see the puck, you blow the whistle. You don't wait like a good 3 seconds. It seems like the ref just delayed way too long when it came to those. And then the last penalty I want to mention, and I don't really want to criticize the refs too much for this because I don't entirely know the rule, but the Jordan Dumais high stick in the third, he got a high sticking penalty. He got 4 minutes because there was blood on the play, but it was on a follow through. But it wasn't on a follow through on a shot. It was a follow through on a shot attempt. So he went for the one timer. I think it was a pass, and then he wanted to do a wrist shot. He missed the puck, or he just didn't get enough of it, and then it came up and hit the German player in the face, and there's blood. So I know if it's the follow through on an actual shot, that's not a penalty, but because it was a shot attempt, I'm not totally sure. So I don't want to criticize the ref too much. I'm pretty sure the ref went up to the Canadian coach afterwards and explained why that was a penalty, even though it was a follow through on a shot attempt. So I feel like the refs probably made the right call there. It's more of a lack of understanding on my part that I don't really know the rule too well in that case scenario. So yeah, Canada goes on to win. They lock things down there in the third. I'm really glad this was an entertaining game. I was a little bit worried that this was going to be a blowout, but it was very interesting. And I know a lot of that had to do with poor officiating, but I gotta give some credit to the Germans. The Germans, I thought, played really, really well. Their goalie looked really good at points in that game, for sure. Most of that game, no doubt. And I know Canada's goalie, Rousseau, his numbers are going to suffer a little bit from this, but I don't even know if I could really put any of those goals on him. He couldn't see the puck a lot. The TSN commentators will remind you over and over again that he's only 5'10", which, you know, if it makes it sound like that he's like the shortest person in the world, but just he's 5'10", so it's a big deal. But I guess he had trouble seeing over some of those players. I don't know, but Canada gets the job done. Rousseau gets the win, so yeah, there you go. It was an entertaining game. I'm really happy to see these like second tier teams like Germany, like Switzerland, like Latvia. I mean, shout out to Latvia. It seems like in the World Juniors, they're always, at least the last few years, they've been really making it interesting. So it's cool to see the relegation race is a bit more interesting this year, especially since now it's best of one rather than a best of three little mini series during the quarterfinals and the semis and the middle rounds. So yeah, it's pretty much one game that decides if you get relegated or not. And it's, you know, at first I didn't know how to feel about that because I didn't feel like it was quite fair. But then you think about it and like, man, that's going to be a really intense game. And, you know, how often do we see these relegation games happen in the World Juniors and nobody watches them? So it's kind of cool that there's one that it's like winner takes all in one game. And it's cool to see that the race to not get in the relegation game has really come down to the wire, including this year. I mean, Germany just needed a point. I mean, Latvia is watching this game very closely, and Germany almost got there. They almost got a point. So, you know, it's cool seeing these second-tier countries doing really well, or doing better at the World Juniors. I think it's only a matter of time we see one of these teams, you know, maybe crack the semis, maybe make the finals. I don't know. It's pretty crazy, but you know, there are some powerhouses that are still in this tournament that I want to talk about. So I've unfortunately only really been able to watch Canada. I've really wanted to watch the States. One, because I hear a lot of people are taking them to win the tournament this year. So, you know, they must be pretty stacked. They must be pretty good, but I haven't got around to watching any of their games, sadly. So hopefully I'll get to see some of the Americans in the middle rounds here. But also I want to see how Sharks prospect Will Smith is doing. Because he's got 2 goals and 1 assist in 3 games, or 4 games here. Which, you know, it's not terrible. I mean, his teammates are getting the job done statistically. I mean, they destroyed Slovakia 10-2 earlier today. But yeah, I was really hoping I got to see a bit of Will Smith during this tournament. I haven't been able to, so again, hopefully in the medal rounds I can get to see how the Americans are doing. But I did catch Sweden and Canada the other day. That was 2 days ago. And that was a great game. That was awesome. I mean, it's too bad Canada couldn't get the job done, but Sweden looked really, really good. They just locked it down defensively, and their goaltender, Hugo Havlid, he looked excellent. He looked really, really good, and it's a little surprising he didn't start against Slovakia today, but maybe the Swedes felt like they didn't have to, you know, give him the rest. And then, hey, they got the job done, so... Actually, I might be getting the... Oh, no, sorry, no. Sweden played Finland today, and that was a nail-biter. So, yeah, never mind. I take that back. Maybe they should have started Havlid for that one. But you got to think it's Hugo Havlid going into the medal rounds here. He's got 2 games under his belt, 2 wins, 2 shutouts, and he's an undrafted goalie. He turns 20 tomorrow, actually. I noticed that when I went on his Elites prospect page. But he's undrafted. Maybe we see a situation where maybe he gets drafted in this upcoming NHL draft, kind of like we saw with the Canadian goalie this past draft, whose name is slipping my mind right now. I felt like it starts with an M. Anyways, I can't remember, but you know, sometimes we see goalies impress. Sometimes we see these undrafted goalies impress in the World Juniors, and then a team gives them a shot as an overager. So maybe if Hugo Havlid continues to have a good tournament here, maybe he gets drafted. Yeah. I think he's still eligible to be drafted. I don't really know how the rules work, to be honest. I know Frederick Anderson got drafted twice or something like that. I don't really know what the cutoff is when it comes to overagers, or guys who are being drafted a year or 2 beyond their first draft year. But yeah, Sweden's looked really good. Again, I haven't been able to see the Americans play. I saw Canada, Finland. Finland looks like they could be underwhelming this year. We'll see, right? Like, you never know till the medal rounds. There's been times where Canada's look kind of meh, and then the medal rounds come around and they kick everybody's butt. So you never know, but right now, I mean, Canada looks good. I mean, Canada had some tough luck with calls in this game against Germany, but they look good. They really do. I mean, they looked really good against Latvia, and they looked really good against Finland, and they even looked really good against Sweden. I think with Sweden, it's just a matter of they couldn't open things up offensively. You know, Havlid was stopping everything that was coming directly at him. So Canada was trying to make a lot of passing plays, but there just wasn't a seam there. There was no lane for a shot. The Swedish defenders are blocking everything. So it was just a really, really good game by Sweden. It'd be cool to see a little rematch between them and Canada, and maybe Canada can get the job done. And, you know, I'm sure they kind of want some vengeance for how that first game went between them. But yeah, it's been an exciting tournament as always. Just seeing some huge saves too. I mean, not just from Rousseau, but there's just been some completely outstanding saves so far in this tournament. So hopefully we continue to see some really good highlights here out of this tournament. And I'm hoping to make another World Junior video here before my winter break is up. So, yeah, maybe I'll do one after the gold medal is announced. But yeah, I've had some video ideas I just haven't really got around to. You know, I want to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs and sort of not so much what they're going through lately, but how their fans and the media are reacting to the Leafs all the time. It's actually a video I've wanted to do for a while now. And I do want to do another Sharks video. I've just been, you know, I've been busy. I've also been lazy when I'm not busy, so that's just the way it is. But yeah, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for hopefully another World Junior video coming up in the next week or so here.